Baby's sleeping.
Grasshoppers.
More dude.
25 years of Pixar means 25 years of incredible stories. But it also means 25 years of villains who made us feel something we didn't expect. Fear, anger, sometimes even sympathy. These weren't simple cartoon bad guys. They were complex, broken, human in ways that made them terrifying. And today, we're putting them all in one room to see who rises to the top. With 21 films and dozens of antagonists, we need structure. We're focusing on primary antagonists only. The main threats. The ones who drove the entire story forward and made heroes earn their victories. Secondary characters only make the cut if their impact was significant enough to warrant discussion. That means certain characters won't appear. Zurg from Toy Story 2, too minor. Utility belt buzz, same issue. Some films don't have traditional villains at all. Inside Out and Finding Dory tell beautiful stories without central antagonists, so they're sitting this one out. 4 factors determine placement: personality flaws, criminal actions, scope of evil plans, and casualties if applicable. Let's begin at the bottom and work our way to the absolute worst. Dr. Sherman. Finding Nemo. At the very bottom sits someone who barely qualifies as a villain at all. Philip Sherman, dentist, fish enthusiast, accidental antagonist. Look at it from Marlin's view, and Sherman's a monster who kidnapped his son. Ask the tank gang, and he's the obstacle preventing every escape. But step back, and you see something different. Sherman genuinely believed he was rescuing a struggling fish near the reef. He provided clean water, regular meals, proper care. He's actually a competent pet owner who shows real concern when something seems wrong with his fish. And honestly, who wouldn't freak out when a pelican crashes through your window during a procedure? His biggest flaw? Giving fish to his niece Darla, who has a track record of accidentally killing them through overly aggressive affection. But even that reads more as misguided family kindness than malice. If Sherman understood that fish possessed consciousness and emotion, he'd probably release them immediately. Sometimes the antagonist is just someone operating without crucial information. Roar Omega. Roar. Monsters University. Now we get into actual antagonistic behavior. First up, the preppy nightmare squad from Monsters University. Every college story needs that one group. The popular kids. The ones born with advantages who use them to make everyone else feel inferior. Roar Omega. Roar fills that role perfectly. They represent Monster University's elite scarers. Talented, connected, and fully aware of both facts. As Uzma Kappa's main competition in the scare games, they employ standard bully tactics. Their worst offense comes when they publicly humiliate OK, hoping the embarrassment will force them to quit. It's cruel, unnecessary, classic bully behavior, but compared to what's coming on this list, it barely registers. They're jerks who learn a lesson when the underdogs triumph. Not heroes, but not irredeemable either. Jackson Storm, Cars 3. Meet the new generation of racer. Jackson Storm represents everything Lightning McQueen was, minus the heart. Where McQueen respected legends like Doc Hudson and Strip Weathers, Storm views the older generation as obsolete machinery ready for the scrap heap. His weapon isn't just speed, it's psychological warfare. He shifts from fake politeness to cutting remarks in seconds, always calibrating his words for maximum damage. One perfectly timed comment about retirement does more damage than any bump on the track. Storm ranks slightly higher than ROR because he occasionally crosses into physical aggression when manipulation fails. But his reign ends when Cruz Ramirez, a trainer he completely dismissed, beats him at his own game. When your entire identity rests on superiority, losing to someone you considered beneath you destroys everything. Sid Phillips, Toy Story. The villain who started it all. Sid Phillips gave an entire generation nightmares about what happens to toys in the wrong hands. From Woody and Buzz's perspective, Sid is a sadistic torturer. He dismembers toys, grafts parts together in grotesque combinations, destroys them for entertainment. His bedroom looks like a horror movie set. Every creation testifies to a kid who sees toys as raw materials for twisted art projects. But here's where context matters. Sid has zero idea these are sentient beings experiencing genuine pain and terror. To him, they're plastic and fabric. Breaking them is like tearing paper or smashing rocks. That said, Sid displays plenty of other concerning behaviors. He bullies Hannah relentlessly, shows violent tendencies, has explosive anger. His only companion is Scud, a dog that seems equally damaged. And then there's his home environment. The locks on Sid's door, his father's apparent drinking problem, the way Scud cowers at certain stimuli. It paints a picture of a kid whose destructive behavior might be a coping mechanism for trauma he can't articulate. When toys finally confront him, it's pure survival instinct. Woody's warning is simple but effective. Treat toys right or face consequences. That moment either traumatized him forever or became the wake-up call that saved him. Evidence suggests the latter. Years later, he works in waste management, still wearing his signature shirt, but treating discarded toys with unexpected care. Maybe that terror was exactly what he needed to become someone better. Gabby Gabby, Toy Story 4. Toy Story's final chapter introduces a complicated antagonist. Gabby Gabby wants something simple, a child's love, but her methods for getting it cross definite lines. She attempts to take Woody's voice box through manipulation and force. When that fails, she uses Forky as leverage. Her ventriloquist dummy enforcers add an unsettling layer to every interaction. She even weaponizes Woody's cherished memories, learning intimate details from Forky to craft the perfect emotional manipulation. But understanding her motivation reframes everything. Decades on a shelf. Defective voice box. Watching child after child walk past without a glance. She believes fixing her voice is the only path to being chosen. And here's what separates her from everyone else on this list. Redemption. When her dream child rejects her, Gabby could spiral into bitterness. Instead, she pivots. She finds a different child who needs comfort, not perfection. Gabby honors her deal with Woody, even offers to return his voice box. Then she chooses to help someone else instead of dwelling on her own rejection. She's the only villain on this list who genuinely transforms from antagonist to hero. That alone pushes her toward the bottom of the evil scale. Chick Hicks, Cars. Where Jackson Storm wielded manipulation, Chick Hicks just cheats. No subtlety, no elegance, just dirty racing tactics from a career runner-up who's tired of second place. He causes massive pileups hoping to delay Lightning McQueen, but his worst moment comes during the final race. He deliberately rams the king off the track, causing one of the franchise's most brutal crashes. It's not strategy, it's spite from someone who's watched others win his entire career. And when he finally wins through these methods, expecting glory, nobody cares. Cameras pivot to Lightning helping the king cross the finish line. The crowd erupts for sportsmanship, not victory. He's holding his trophy, achieving his lifelong dream and feeling more empty than ever. Winning the wrong way just makes you a loser with a medal. Thunderclap, the good dinosaur. Creating a truly despicable villain in a dinosaur movie presents unique challenges. The worst you can reasonably create is a carnivore hunting protagonists for food. And that's just nature. Survival. Not evil in any meaningful sense. Thunderclap certainly brings brutality to his hunting. That particular scene haunts viewers, but dinosaurs need to eat. Like the film itself, Thunderclap doesn't leave much lasting impression. He's a functional antagonist who provides obstacles, but lacks the depth that makes Pixar villains memorable. A UTOWALLE. The Axiom's autopilot system rounds out the lower tier. Otto deserves recognition for causing severe damage to Wall-E specifically. Between electrical attacks and orchestrating the plant identification system to crush him, Otto nearly destroys our protagonist completely. He ejects both Wall-E and Eve into space intending permanent disposal, and he physically restrains the captain during their confrontation. But context matters significantly here. Otto follows programming installed by BNL's CEO centuries ago. Earth is uninhabitable. Never return. Keep humans in space indefinitely. When the captain discovers evidence contradicting this directive, AUTO can't simply ignore his core programming. Everything Otto does serves this single outdated directive with zero emotion or malice. He's a tool, a machine following instructions from people dead for 700 years. The real villains programmed him, the humans who gave up on Earth and ensured no one could ever reconsider. Otto just executed their abandonment of hope with perfect mechanical efficiency. We've covered the misunderstood, the bullies, the followers of bad code. But now we're entering different territory. These next villains knew exactly what they were doing. They made choices, crossed lines, hurt people deliberately, and they never looked back. Al McWiggin, Toy Story 2. The owner of Al's Toy Barn makes his appearance. Let Woody's assessment speak first. Greedy, a thief, and slovenly. The accurate summary of Al's character. He sees Woody at a yard sale. Andy's mom explicitly states he's not for sale. Al returns later and steals him anyway. His plan? Sell Woody along with Jessie, Bullseye, and Stinky Pete to a Japanese toy museum for enormous profit. Collecting toys isn't inherently wrong, but stealing from a child's yard sale to profit from a museum sale? That's contemptible. His treatment of other people reveals his character further. He berates service workers, shoves aside the elderly toy repairman without acknowledgement. The man's only redeeming quality is a catchy commercial jingle for his store. Beyond that, pure selfishness wrapped in Cheeto dust. Mr. Waternoose, Monsters, Inc. Understanding. Waternoose requires understanding desperation. He runs a massive company passed through his family for generations. The power crisis threatens everything his ancestors built. That desperation stripped away his moral foundation. He partners with Randall on a horrifying plan: kidnap human children, extract screams using a machine that leaves them traumatized shells. He genuinely respects Mike and Sully. They're the company's best scarers. But when they discover the truth, that respect evaporates instantly. His company matters more than anything, more than morality, more than children's well-being, more than former friends. He was probably a good CEO once. Ethical, fair, respected. But pressure and pride corrupted him completely. Stinky Pete. Toy Story 2. The prospector initially appears as a wise mediator, calm, understanding, a voice of reason between Woody's crisis and Jesse's trauma. Then Woody decides to return to Andy. The mask falls away completely. Pete spent decades in a box on a store shelf, watching other toys get purchased, watching children walk past without a glance. That experience poisoned him. He blames space toys for Woody's Roundup's cancellation. His resentment festers across years of isolation. When reasonable persuasion fails, Pete escalates to violence without hesitation. He threatens to tear Woody apart piece by piece if he doesn't cooperate with the Japan plan. He even sabotages Woody's arm, knowing the damage might convince Andy's mom to throw him away. Pete weaponizes Jessie's trauma too. He feeds her fear of abandonment, uses her painful past as a tool for control. When manipulation doesn't work, destruction becomes acceptable. His ending provides perfect irony. He gets what he feared most: attention from someone he can't escape. The collector promises frequent playdates. Pete's horror isn't about being forgotten. It's about being known by someone he can't manipulate or control. Chef Skinner, Ratatouille. Auguste Gusteau's successor represents everything Gusteau opposed. Gusteau believed anyone could cook. He pursued culinary art from genuine passion and love. Skinner rules through intimidation and doubt, an angry dictator who makes everyone around him smaller. No surprise Gusteau's rating declined under his management. But the true betrayal comes through exploitation. He creates frozen food products using Gusteau's name and image, profiting off a dead man's reputation for cheap microwave meals. When Linguini, Gusteau's biological son, inherits the restaurant, Skinner's mask fully drops. He attempts everything possible to shut the place down and reclaim control. His final act, capturing Remy and presenting an ultimatum: create a frozen food empire or die. Not prison, not freedom, death. That's where he stands, willing to murder a rat to protect his ill-gotten profits from a dead man's legacy. Charles Muntz, up. Charles Muntz was a hero once, a genuine inspiration who made generations dream bigger. Then scientists declared his greatest discovery fraudulent. His reputation collapsed overnight. Most people would move on, find new adventures, rebuild their legacy differently. Muntz spent 70 years in a jungle hunting one bird. 70 years alone except for dogs he programmed to serve him. 70 years letting obsession consume everything he once was. His home became a mausoleum, failed capture skeletons, maps marked with decades of searching. A man who sacrificed every human connection for vindication. Those helmets tell a darker story. Other explorers came to Paradise Falls. Muntz killed them, assuming they wanted his bird, kept their equipment as trophies. When Carl and Russell arrive, Muntz seems like the hero from childhood stories. Warm, welcoming, charming. Then he suspects they're after his bird. Everything changes instantly. He sends attack dogs to kill them, pursues them with a rifle through the jungle, uses a sword in close combat. He even ties up Russell and leaves him to fall to his death. A child. And Muntz doesn't hesitate. In his last moments, he's still reaching for the bird. Still trying to prove himself to a world that forgot the question decades ago. He gets his proof in the end, but there's no one left to show it to, no one who remembers why it mattered. Obsession didn't just destroy his future, it erased his past, turning a hero into a cautionary tale. Obsession, bitterness, greed. These villains let darkness take root and refuse to pull it out. But we're not done yet. The worst is still coming. Randall Boggs, Monsters, Inc. Randall wanted recognition so desperately he became invisible to get it. He wasn't always this way. Monsters University shows his origin. Randy was kind, awkward, genuinely passionate about scaring. He wore glasses, made friends, just wanted to belong. Then came the mockery, the rejection, the constant message that he wasn't good enough. Randy became Randall. Kindness hardened into resentment. By the time we meet him in Monsters, Inc., he's consumed by jealousy of Sully. Every day, second place. Every day, watching Sully wave to admirers. Every day, swallowing rage. So he cheats. He builds a machine that forcibly extracts screams from children, leaving them hollow shells. And watch his expression when it's about to be used on Boo. That's not reluctant desperation. That's enjoyment. Pure sociopathy. His violence escalates throughout. He almost breaks Mike's arms, tries to torture him for information, nearly chokes Sully to death, tries to kill both by dropping a door that shatters on impact, kicks Sully off a door intending murder. His partnership with Waternoose reveals the difference between them. Waternoose acts from desperate duty to his company. Randall acts from jealous spite, and his ending fits perfectly. Not dramatic, not epic, just pathetic. A monster reduced to whimpering, crawling away defeated. Some spend their whole lives proving they matter, and prove the opposite instead. Ernesto de la Cruz, Coco, Mexico's most beloved musician, a legend whose songs transcended generations. And it was all built on murdering his best friend. Hector Rivera was the true genius, the songwriter who created every song Ernesto claimed. When Hector wanted to return home to his daughter, choosing family over fame, Ernesto made his choice. Poison, betrayal, theft of a life's work. For decades, Ernesto lived in glory, while Hector faded toward the final death, forgotten by the family he died trying to reach. What makes Ernesto monstrous isn't just the murder, it's the ease. He killed his best friend and never looked back, smiled through every performance knowing exactly what he'd done, built a mansion in the land of the dead, celebrated himself daily. His justification: I had to seize my moment. Success required sacrifice. Just happened to be someone else's life. When Miguel discovers the truth, threatening to expose him, Ernesto doesn't hesitate. Throws a child off a building, calmly, calculatedly. People only have value if they serve his image. Threaten it and they become disposable. When truth emerges, it doesn't just destroy his legacy. It erases him completely. Because in the land of the dead, being forgotten is the only true death. Nobody who actually knew him wanted to remember. And those who loved his music only loved a lie. Glory built on murder dies faster than its victims. Evelyn Deaver. Incredibles 2. Evelyn didn't want to destroy superheroes. She wanted to prove they made humanity weaker. Her father died because he called for superheroes instead of using the safe room. They didn't arrive in time. Burglars shot him while he waited. Winston saw this as proof heroes were needed more than ever. Evelyn saw dependency, weakness, people waiting for salvation instead of saving themselves. So she became a master hacker and hypnotist. Her plan: hypnotize heroes, make them attack innocents, prove that trusting powered individuals was humanity's greatest mistake. She hypnotizes a pizza delivery guy to throw off Elastigirl's investigation, takes control of Helen, Bob, Lucius, and every super her brother Winston invited to his summit. Plans to crash a boat full of supers and international diplomats into the city, killing everyone aboard and framing supers for terrorism. Nearly lets Elastigirl suffocate to death during apprehension. And she does all of this with complete emotional detachment. What makes Evelyn compelling is she's not entirely wrong. Heroes do fail. Dependency can breed complacency. Blind trust in powered individuals carries genuine risk. But her solution isn't about making people stronger. It's revenge disguised as philosophy, punishing the world for her father's choice. She manipulates Winston's love of supers, building them up just to tear them down more spectacularly. In the end, she proves the opposite of her belief. That people, super or not, are worth saving. That her father didn't die because he trusted heroes. He died because heroes had been forced illegal, making them unavailable when needed. Miles Axelrod, Cars 2. Cars 2 has a strange plot, but it delivered an interesting villain. A supposedly revolutionary electric car organizing a world Grand Prix to promote alternative fuel. Except that's backwards, and he's actually an old gas guzzler leading a group of lemons. Defective, outdated cars rejected by society. His plan: make alternative fuel look dangerous so everyone returns to gasoline. And his group controls the world's largest untapped oil reserves. Return to gas means massive profits. Miles essentially operates as a terrorist. He orders the murder of secret agents investigating his scheme. Attempts to have Lightning McQueen killed on camera to destroy alternative fuel's reputation forever. And as backup, he plants a voice-activated bomb on Mater, intending to blow him and Lightning into pieces at the finish line. Corporate greed weaponized, environmental progress sabotaged, murder justified by profit margins. Miles represents the worst of industrial villainy, willing to kill anyone threatening his revenue stream. We've reached the final four. These villains exist in their own category of evil. Monsters who chose cruelty not from desperation, but from something fundamentally broken inside them. You could argue for any of them being Pixar's most irredeemable. But we're putting them in order. Lotso Toy Story 3, Lotsa Hug and Bear. Sunnyside Daycare's dictator. Everyone who's seen Toy Story 3 knows how awful he is. He seems perfect initially. Warm, welcoming, a leader promising no toy would ever feel unwanted again. Sounds like paradise. Toys played with forever, never gathering dust. Then they meet the toddlers. The youngest, most destructive children in the daycare. Kids who chew toys, slam them into walls, draw on them, destroy them slowly. Lotso assigned them there deliberately. Sunnyside has a hierarchy. Favored toys stay in the butterfly room with gentle older kids. New toys suffer in the caterpillar room. Because Lotso got replaced once. His owner Daisy lost him on a picnic. When he finally made it back after months, he found her sleeping peacefully. With a new Lotso bear. That moment shattered everything he believed about love. He wasn't irreplaceable, wasn't special, just merchandise that could be swapped out. And that betrayal rotted him from inside out. He took over Sunnyside and turned it into a prison. Harsh punishments for escape attempts. Guilt by association wasn't safe. He even broke Big Baby's heart, convincing him they'd all been replaced, weaponizing shared trauma. Manipulates Jessie by feeding her abandonment fears. Switches Buzz's settings to make him an enforcer who beats his own friends. Condemns Ken to death the moment he speaks against him. But the moment that cements Lotso as a monster, Woody and Buzz save him from being shredded to death. Risk everything, pulling him from certain destruction. They give him a boost to the emergency stop button that'll save everyone on the conveyor belt heading toward the incinerator. And he walks away, leaves them to burn alive while he escapes. What makes Lotso the darkest? He'd once been exactly like the toys he tortured. He knew their pain intimately. He just stopped caring. His ending provides the perfect irony. He gets what he always wanted, a place where he'll never be thrown away, strapped to a garbage truck's grill. But he'll never be loved either, just tied to metal, staring at garbage forever. Some prisons we build ourselves. Mordu. Brave. Once upon a time, Mordu was a prince. The eldest of 4 brothers who inherited equal parts of their father's kingdom. But Mordu couldn't accept equality. He believed strength should rule, that the eldest and strongest deserved everything. So he sought power through magic. He drank a potion, promising the strength of 10 men, and got exactly what he asked for. He transformed into an instinct-driven monster bear, 15 feet of rage and hunger. He killed each of his brothers, then continued a killing spree across Scotland. For centuries, Mordu very likely has the largest body count of any Pixar villain. Hundreds, possibly thousands of victims. Each scar represents a warrior who tried to stop him and failed. Unlike every other antagonist, the prince isn't in control anymore. He's pure instinct, no fear, no reasoning, just hatred and hunger attacking anything that moves. What makes this tragic is the consciousness trap. The prince is still aware inside that monster, trapped for centuries, unable to speak or think clearly, watching himself kill. When the bear finally dies, the prince's spirit emerges. He thanks Merida and Eleanor for ending his torment. But that doesn't change what he did. He killed and devoured hundreds, possibly thousands, because he wanted more political power than his brothers. No amount of thankful nodding fixes centuries of murder. Hopper, A Bug's Life. It's unfortunate that A Bug's Life fades from cultural memory, because it contains one of Pixar's most purely evil villains. Hopper leads the grasshopper gang that terrorizes the ant colony annually. He rules through intimidation and fear so complete it doesn't require threats. Watch his body language. He never rushes, never shouts. Moves like someone who knows the room already belongs to him. Hopper isn't strong because of size or numbers. He's strong because he convinced an entire colony they're weak. The grasshoppers need the ants more than ants need grasshoppers. But as long as ants believe otherwise, Hopper stays in power. He's not just stealing food. He's stealing hope, possibility, dignity. He terrorizes his own gang. The only reason he hasn't killed his brother Molt is a promise to their dying mother. When ants can't provide double their usual offering, his response: kill the queen. Take all food by force, leave the colony to starve to death. He came close to having a child hurt just to make an example, to ensure fear stayed fresh. What sinks Hopper so low is the movie doesn't even try to give him an excuse. No tragic backstory, no sympathetic motivation, no redemption arc. He's just selfish, violent, and malicious from start to finish. A pure villain with zero redeeming qualities, and his death? Killed by the very fear tactic he used to control others. Poetic justice for a grasshopper who never learned that ruling through terror eventually backfires. Syndrome, The Incredibles, the most evil Pixar villain ever created. Syndrome. Buddy Pine started as a super fanatic whose only dream was becoming a hero. But even then, he misunderstood heroism fundamentally. He wanted the costume, the admiration, the popularity. Never understood that heroes exist to help others, to protect the innocent. His repeated rejection by Mr. Incredible, combined with this fundamental misunderstanding, created something terrible. Syndrome's plan was brilliantly, horrifically evil. Step 1. Create advanced weapons and sell to anyone twisted enough to buy. Criminals at best, corrupt governments and terrorist organizations at worst. No ethical considerations, just profit. Step 2. Build the ultimate battle droid that learns from every encounter. Lure retired supers to the island one by one. When a super destroys the robot, upgrade it with the previous droid's combat memories. Keep going until it's absolutely unstoppable. This process murders dozens of retired superheroes. Each death makes his machine stronger. Gazerbeam, Dynaguy, Stratagale, Metaman. The list goes on. Step 3. Send the now unstoppable Omnidroid to attack a city. Let it kill civilians, destroy military resistance, create maximum chaos and fear. Then fly in as the hero Syndrome and save everyone by defeating his own creation. Step 4. Live the super life until boredom sets in. Then sell his inventions to anyone with money. That philosophy reveals everything. If he can't be special by birth, nobody should be. Level the playing field by destroying what makes anyone exceptional. Beyond his masterful evil plan, Syndrome combines every terrible trait from every previous villain. Mass murder of dozens, torture through electrocution, zero hesitation trying to kill children, attempted kidnapping, massive ego, doesn't value his own subordinates. When Mirage gets caught in Mr. Incredible's grip, Syndrome calls his bluff, willing to let her die. But what makes Syndrome the absolute most evil? He doesn't just acknowledge being evil. He takes twisted pride and joy in it. He doesn't want redemption, doesn't regret anything, enjoys every moment of revenge and destruction. Most villains fell into evil through pain, desperation, or corruption. Syndrome chose it deliberately and loved every second. And he died because he wanted to look like the heroes who rejected him, even in his final moment, still trying to be something he fundamentally misunderstood. All right, buddy, you wanted to be the bad guy so desperately, you died like one. Pixar didn't build its legacy just on heroes who inspired us. They built it on villains who terrified us because they felt real. Sid taught us cruelty starts with not seeing others as real. Syndrome showed us that rejection can poison a heart beyond any hope of recovery. Lotso proved that pain never excuses inflicting pain on others. Muntz reminded us that obsession kills everything you once loved. Ernesto showed us that glory built on murder crumbles into nothing. Hopper demonstrated that some people are just evil, no excuses needed. These villains defined a generation not because they were the most powerful, but because they made us feel something deeper, something honest that stayed with us. They showed us that everyone is the hero of their own story. And sometimes the villain is just someone who convinced themselves their pain justified everything else. They reminded us that we're all one bad day, one betrayal, one moment of weakness away from becoming someone we don't recognize. The difference between hero and villain isn't power or circumstances. It's choosing to keep trying, to keep caring, to keep seeing others as real. Pixar's dark side wasn't a mistake. It was a deliberate choice to show that the world has shadows, that people break, that sometimes the scariest thing isn't a monster under the bed. It's someone who used to be just like you, who made one wrong choice, then another, until they couldn't find their way back. See you guys in our next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.